Chloe had always been someone who valued independence. At 63, she still took pride in managing her own life. From cooking to running errands, from walking her dog by the beach to tending her little garden. It was her morning ritual, walking the soft sand as the sun rose, that made her feel alive and connected to the world around her. But one chilly morning, something subtle but unsettling shifted in her routine. As she stood up from her bed to get ready for her walk, she noticed a strange heaviness in her left leg. It wasn't painful, but it felt numb, as if the leg belonged to someone else. At first, she dismissed it as a temporary tingling, maybe caused by sleeping in an awkward position. She shuffled to the bathroom, hoping the feeling would pass with movement, but as she stood, the numbness didn't fade. Instead, it deepened, creeping from her toes up through her calf. The sensation was unfamiliar and unnerving. She sat down again, a cold wave of worry washing over her. Was this just a passing thing, or the start of something more serious? Days passed, and the numbness didn't go away. Instead, Chloe found herself hesitating when walking, needing to pause more often, leaning on walls or furniture to steady herself. The legs she once trusted were betraying her. At night, she felt restless, her feet twitching in discomfort, making it hard to sleep. This physical discomfort became a heavy weight on her heart as well. She found herself asking questions she had never faced before. Was this the beginning of old age catching up? Would she lose the freedom to walk as she pleased? Chloe's family noticed the change too. Her daughter called more frequently, sensing something was wrong. Her friends mentioned how she seemed quieter, less vibrant. But Chloe wasn't ready to admit she was struggling. She was a teacher by nature, someone used to solving problems with reason and patience. She told herself she just needed to rest more, maybe eat better, and everything would improve. But deep down, a quiet fear had settled in, growing with every slow step she took. Then came the day she could no longer ignore the symptoms. Chloe was making her usual morning tea when she suddenly stumbled on the kitchen floor. The left leg buckled and she grabbed the counter for support. Panic rushed through her veins. "What is happening to me?" she whispered. That moment became a turning point, the moment Chloe realized she needed help. She called her daughter, who insisted on taking her to the doctor immediately. At the clinic, Chloe sat nervously while the doctor examined her. The doctor's voice was calm but serious. "Chloe, your symptoms suggest that your blood circulation in the legs is impaired. It's common among people your age, especially those with diabetes or prediabetes." Chloe blinked, trying to absorb the weight of the diagnosis. She had always thought diabetes was something that happened to others, not her. The doctor explained gently how poor circulation could cause numbness, weakness, and if untreated, lead to serious complications. Hearing the diagnosis was both a shock and a relief. Shock because it was a reality she hadn't wanted to face. Relief because finally, she had an explanation for the discomfort that had been haunting her. The doctor talked about lifestyle changes and the importance of controlling blood sugar, exercising gently, and focusing on a healthy diet. Chloe left the clinic with a mix of emotions, fear, uncertainty, but also a flicker of hope. The first days at home were difficult. Chloe struggled to accept that her body was not as strong as before. She felt vulnerable in ways she never had, dependent on others for simple tasks, afraid that her independence was slipping away. But she also felt a stirring determination. This was not how her story would end. She began reading, asking questions, and quietly making small changes in her daily habits. She replaced sugary snacks with fruits, started drinking more water, and tried to move gently every day, even if just a little. Chloe's journey was not a straight line. Some days she felt stronger, hopeful, other days tired and discouraged. But slowly, she began to notice small improvements. The heaviness in her leg lessened, her energy returned bit by bit, and her confidence grew. Her daughter and friends celebrated these wins with her, offering encouragement and companionship. More than anything, Chloe realized that her illness was not just a physical battle, but an emotional and mental one. She needed to be patient and kind to herself, to listen deeply to what her body was telling her, and to remember that healing was possible at any age. This first chapter of struggle and awakening set the tone for the months to come, a story of resilience, discovery, and quiet courage. After those first unsettling days of numbness and weakness, Chloe thought she might have a handle on things. She was slowly adjusting her habits, walking a bit more cautiously, and paying closer attention to her diet. But nothing could have prepared her for the night when everything changed. It was a cool, quiet evening. Chloe had just settled into bed after a light dinner, feeling a faint hope that the restless sensations in her leg might finally ease. But as the house grew silent, a sudden, sharp pain shot through her left calf, jolting her awake. The pain was unlike anything she'd felt before, deep, burning, and relentless. She clenched her teeth, gripping the sheets, tears pricking her eyes. It felt as if her leg was on fire, and no matter how she shifted or tried to soothe it, the ache remained. This was different from the numbness and heaviness. This pain screamed danger. Fear clenched at her heart as she sat up, trying to catch her breath. The dark room felt cold and distant, amplifying the loneliness she suddenly felt. Chloe's mind raced. Was this the disease worsening? Was this a sign that something worse was coming? She felt vulnerable, fragile, as if her body was turning against her. The hours crawled by. Every few minutes, the pain would spike, making it impossible for Chloe to find comfort. Her thoughts drifted to her family, her daughter, her sister, wishing they were there to hold her hand. But instead, she was alone in the quiet darkness, wrestling with a pain that felt both physical and deeply emotional. It was in that night, between restless moments and fleeting tears, that Chloe's fear transformed into resolve. She knew she couldn't face this journey alone. The following morning, Chloe's daughter found her exhausted and pale, struggling to walk without wincing. Concern washed over her face as she listened to Chloe recount the night's ordeal. They agreed it was time to return to the doctor to seek more answers and perhaps find relief. At the clinic, the doctor listened intently as Chloe described the sharp leg pain that had interrupted her sleep. After a careful examination, the doctor explained that Chloe might be experiencing symptoms linked to poor blood flow, claudication, common in people with peripheral artery disease or complications from diabetes. He reassured her that while serious, these symptoms could often be managed with lifestyle changes and proper treatment. The doctor emphasized the importance of controlling blood sugar levels, adopting gentle exercises to improve circulation, and paying close attention to nutrition. He also recommended some tests to better understand the extent of Chloe's condition. Though the news felt heavy, Chloe appreciated the doctor's warmth and clear explanations, which eased some of her anxiety. Leaving the clinic, Chloe felt the weight of responsibility settle on her shoulders. The journey ahead was not just about managing pain, but about reclaiming control over her health. The sharp pain was a wake-up call, a stark reminder that she needed to act decisively. Back home, Chloe shared her concerns with her close friends during a small gathering. They listened empathetically, some nodding in understanding, having faced similar challenges themselves. Their stories of perseverance and adaptation inspired Chloe, planting seeds of hope that she could navigate this difficult path too. Determined to find practical solutions, Chloe began researching natural foods and habits that could support blood flow and nerve health. She discovered that certain whole grains and seeds were known to help stabilize blood sugar and improve circulation. Inspired, she started incorporating these into her meals: steel-cut oats for breakfast, quinoa salads for lunch, and barley soups for dinner. Cooking became a form of meditation, a way to care for her body with love and attention. With each new meal, Chloe felt a subtle shift inside, a mix of comfort and empowerment. The food was nourishing not just her body, but also her spirit. She found joy in experimenting with flavors and textures, turning what once felt like restrictions into delicious opportunities. Her legs, though still occasionally aching, no longer felt like enemies. Instead, they were reminders of her strength and the care she was willing to give herself. The sharp pain that had once terrified her gradually softened into a dull ache, manageable and less frequent. Chloe's nights became more restful, her energy more consistent during the day. Her family noticed the changes and celebrated every small victory with her, reinforcing the sense that she was not alone. Through this painful episode, Chloe realized that illness could be a teacher, revealing the fragility and resilience woven into our lives. She embraced a new mindset, one of patience, mindfulness, and gradual healing. Though the path was still uncertain, the night of sharp pain had ignited a fire within her, propelling her toward a future where she could live fully and with dignity. The morning sun filtered softly through the curtains as Chloe prepared herself for the doctor's appointment. Although the sharp pain had lessened since that difficult night, the memory of it lingered, a quiet alarm in her mind. She knew she had to understand more about what was happening to her body. With a deep breath, she stepped outside, feeling the cool breeze brush her face, a small comfort before the unknown ahead. At the clinic, the waiting room buzzed quietly with the murmur of conversations and the shuffle of footsteps. Chloe's heart pounded, a mixture of nervousness and determination. When the nurse called her name, she rose steadily, reminding herself that this was the first step toward reclaiming her health. Inside the examination room, the doctor greeted her with a warm smile, his eyes reflecting genuine concern. He listened patiently as Chloe described her symptoms, the numbness, the heaviness in her legs, and the terrifying sharp pain that had jolted her awake. Without rushing, he explained how these sensations often stemmed from poor blood circulation, especially in older adults with diabetes or prediabetes, conditions that could silently worsen if left unchecked. Chloe found comfort in his calm demeanor. He didn't speak in complicated medical jargon, but shared clear, relatable explanations. He likened the blood vessels in her legs to narrow roads that had become clogged over time, making it harder for blood to flow freely. The resulting lack of oxygen and nutrients caused her legs to ache and feel weak. The doctor then recommended some tests to better understand the extent of her condition. He reassured her that many people managed these symptoms successfully through lifestyle changes and proper care. He emphasized the importance of controlling blood sugar levels, adopting gentle physical activities, and eating foods that supported vascular health. Chloe left the clinic with a folder of test orders and a head full of questions. The diagnosis was daunting, but having a clear direction helped quell some of her fears. For the first time, she felt she had a roadmap, a way to fight back against the creeping weakness in her body. Back home, Chloe shared the news with her family. Her daughter listened attentively, holding her hand and promising to support her every step of the way. Their conversations turned to practical matters, meal planning, setting up gentle exercise routines, and tracking medications. The family's support became a crucial pillar in Chloe's journey, reminding her that she wasn't facing this battle alone. In the weeks that followed, Chloe immersed herself in learning about nutrition and movement. She discovered the power of whole grains, barley, oats, and quinoa that could help stabilize blood sugar and improve circulation. Slowly, she began experimenting in the kitchen, turning her meals into nourishing rituals. Her doctor's advice echoed in her mind. Small, consistent changes would yield meaningful results. Chloe embraced this philosophy, celebrating each day she felt a little stronger, each meal she prepared with care, each walk she took without hesitation. Though the road ahead was long, Chloe's first visit to the doctor had marked a turning point, a moment of clarity and commitment that would guide her through the challenges to come. After that first visit to the doctor's office, Chloe felt both a weight lifted and a new responsibility settle onto her shoulders. She realized that managing her health wasn't something she could delegate or postpone. It was a commitment she had to make every day, starting with what she put on her plate. The doctor had mentioned whole grains as a key part of stabilizing her blood sugar and improving circulation. Words that seemed simple but held a world of meaning for her. Chloe decided to dive deeper into this idea. She began by revisiting her kitchen cupboards, where bags of white rice and processed snacks had quietly accumulated over the years. These were comfort foods she had grown up with, foods that had accompanied family gatherings and celebrations. Yet now she understood they might be part of the problem rather than the solution. Her daughter helped her research different grains, and together they discovered steel-cut oats, barley, quinoa, and even less familiar options like amaranth and millet. Chloe was intrigued by the idea that these humble ingredients could hold so much power for her health. It was as if nature had quietly provided a remedy, hidden in plain sight. The first time Chloe cooked steel-cut oats, she was pleasantly surprised. The texture was hearty and satisfying, and the warmth of the oats was comforting on a cool morning. She added fresh berries and a sprinkle of cinnamon, creating a breakfast that felt both indulgent and nourishing. Sitting by the window with her bowl of oats, Chloe felt a small but meaningful sense of accomplishment. As days turned into weeks, she incorporated more whole grains into her meals. Lunches became colorful quinoa salads with roasted vegetables, and dinners often featured barley soup simmered with herbs. The act of cooking itself became therapeutic, a time to focus on healing and self-care rather than rush through meals. Chloe noticed subtle changes. Her energy felt more balanced throughout the day, and the heaviness in her legs began to lift, replaced by a lightness she hadn't felt in months. The numbness still visited occasionally, but was less persistent. These small victories fueled her determination to continue. One afternoon, while sharing a meal with friends, Chloe talked about her new dietary journey. Some friends were skeptical, clinging to familiar foods and habits, but others listened with curiosity and encouragement. Chloe realized that her choices were not just about her own health, but also about inspiring those around her. Her doctor's words echoed in her mind. Food is medicine. It was a phrase she now embraced fully. Every spoonful of oats, every bite of quinoa was a step toward reclaiming her vitality. Yet Chloe knew it wasn't just about the grains. She also began to pay attention to portion sizes, the timing of meals, and the balance of nutrients. It was a dance of mindfulness and learning, one that demanded patience and compassion. Through this journey, Chloe felt herself transforming, not just physically, but emotionally. She was moving from fear to hope, from helplessness to empowerment. The grains that once seemed ordinary had become symbols of resilience and new beginnings. Her legs, once a source of worry, were now reminders of her progress and determination. Each meal was a celebration of life, a testament to the strength she was nurturing within. Chloe's life had begun to change in ways she never expected. The journey she embarked on, starting with the discomfort in her legs and the sharp pain that shook her awake, was no longer just about managing symptoms. It was about rediscovering herself and finding a new rhythm to her days. This transformation was slow but profound, touching every part of her life. One crisp morning, as Chloe prepared her breakfast of steel-cut oats sprinkled with fresh berries, she paused and looked out the window. The sky was a soft canvas of pastel hues, and the gentle breeze carried the scent of blooming flowers. It struck her how much she had begun to appreciate these small moments, moments she once took for granted when her health seemed robust and unshakable. That day, she decided to take her morning walk a little further, despite a lingering hesitation. As she stepped onto the familiar path by the beach, she felt a cautious optimism. Her legs, though still recovering, carried her steadily, each step a small victory against the doubts that had once held her back. Chloe remembered the doctor's advice to incorporate gentle exercise into her routine to improve circulation. At first, the idea seemed daunting. The pain and numbness had made movement feel risky, and she feared falling or injuring herself. But now, with each passing day, she found courage in her own progress. Walking became not just a necessity, but a ritual of healing. Her daughter often joined her, their conversations weaving between shared memories and plans for the future. These walks became sacred, a time for connection, reflection, and renewal. Chloe noticed how the fresh air and rhythmic movement lifted her spirits and eased the discomfort in her legs. Beyond physical activity, Chloe embraced other changes. She began to prioritize sleep, understanding its role in repairing her body. Bedtime routines became soothing, herbal teas, gentle stretches, and quiet moments of gratitude. These rituals helped her relax, welcoming deeper, more restorative sleep than she had experienced in years. Nutrition remained central to her transformation. Chloe experimented with recipes, always eager to discover new ways to nourish herself. One evening, she prepared a barley and vegetable stew, simmered slowly with garlic and herbs. The rich aroma filled her kitchen, and as she ate, she savored not just the flavors, but the knowledge that this food was helping heal her from within. Friends and family noticed the changes in Chloe, not just in her appearance, but in her demeanor. She carried herself with a newfound grace and confidence, her eyes bright with hope. They admired her resilience and often asked for advice, eager to learn from her experience. Chloe welcomed these conversations. She knew firsthand how isolating chronic health issues could be, and she wanted to be a beacon for others navigating similar struggles. Sharing her story became a way to transform pain into purpose. Yet the journey was not without setbacks. Some days, fatigue would drag her down. Moments of frustration crept in when progress seemed slow. But Chloe had learned to be patient with herself, recognizing that healing was a winding path, not a straight line. She kept a journal, jotting down her feelings, challenges, and triumphs. This practice helped her process emotions and track improvements. On tough days, rereading entries of earlier struggles reminded her how far she had come. Chloe's relationship with her body shifted profoundly. No longer something to be taken for granted or scorned for its limitations, her body became a partner in healing. She listened carefully to its signals, responding with kindness and care. This awakening extended beyond health. Chloe found joy in simple pleasures, reading a good book, tending her garden, listening to music. These activities nurtured her soul, creating a balance that supported overall well-being. She also deepened her connections with loved ones. Conversations grew richer, filled with empathy and understanding. The shared experience of her journey brought her closer to those around her. Through it all, Chloe held onto a quiet hope that this new way of living would sustain her, allowing her to age with dignity and strength. Her legs, once a source of fear, had become a symbol of endurance and renewal. Each day was a step forward, a testament to her courage and commitment. Chloe's awakening was not just about overcoming illness, but about embracing life fully, with all its challenges and beauty. As Chloe continued her journey toward better health, she soon realized that healing was not something she could do alone. The challenges she faced were not only physical, but deeply emotional and mental. On many days, the burden felt heavy, and the fear of slipping back into pain or weakness crept quietly into her thoughts. It was in these moments that the power of community and support became a lifeline. One afternoon, Chloe's daughter suggested she join a local support group for seniors managing diabetes and circulation issues. At first, Chloe hesitated. The idea of sharing her struggles with strangers felt uncomfortable and exposing. But with gentle encouragement, she agreed to attend a meeting. The room was modest, but filled with warm smiles and welcoming faces. Chloe listened as others shared their stories of pain, resilience, setbacks, and small victories. She was struck by the common threads that connected them all: the fear of losing independence, the hope for better days, and the courage to keep trying. When it was her turn, Chloe found herself opening up about her journey, the numbness in her legs, the sharp pain that had jolted her awake, and the gradual changes she was making in her life. As she spoke, she felt a weight lift from her chest. The simple act of sharing made her feel less alone. The group offered practical advice, encouragement, and most importantly, understanding. They celebrated each other's progress, no matter how small, and provided comfort during difficult times. Chloe left the meeting feeling lighter, her spirit renewed by the bonds she had formed. Back home, Chloe's family noticed a new spark in her eyes. She spoke more openly about her health and her hopes, no longer carrying her burdens in silence. Her daughter helped organize regular walks with neighbors from the group, turning exercise into a social, enjoyable activity. Chloe discovered that these shared experiences created a sense of belonging and motivation. When she felt discouraged, knowing others faced similar struggles and persevered inspired her to keep going. The community became a source of strength, a network of people who genuinely cared. Through these connections, Chloe also learned new tips and tricks. One member shared a recipe for a quinoa salad, rich in fiber and antioxidants. Another suggested gentle yoga stretches to improve circulation. Each piece of advice was a gift, woven into the tapestry of Chloe's healing. Her doctor noticed the positive changes during follow-up visits. Chloe's blood sugar levels were stabilizing, and her leg strength had improved. The combination of medical care, nutrition, gentle exercise, and emotional support was proving effective. Chloe realized that healing was holistic. It required attention not only to the body, but also to the heart and mind. The friendships she built reminded her that she was more than her illness. She was part of a vibrant, caring community. This newfound support also gave Chloe the courage to advocate for herself. She asked questions during medical appointments, researched treatments, and made informed decisions about her care. She felt empowered, no longer a passive patient, but an active participant in her health. The emotional resilience she developed through community support carried over into other areas of her life. Chloe began volunteering at the local senior center, sharing her story and encouraging others facing similar health challenges. Her experiences gave her a unique voice and purpose. Through giving back, Chloe found fulfillment and joy. She witnessed firsthand how small acts of kindness and connection could transform lives. The journey that began with pain and fear had blossomed into a path of hope, strength, and generosity. Her legs, once weak and painful, now carried her forward, not just physically, but emotionally and spiritually. Chloe's story became a testament to the healing power of community and the importance of never facing struggles alone. Chloe had always loved food, not just for nourishment, but for the joy it brought. Yet before her health journey began, she often relied on quick, convenient meals, rarely paying attention to their impact on her body. Now, as she became more aware of her condition and the importance of diet in managing it, food transformed from a background pleasure to a central part of her healing. One cool morning, Chloe woke early, the soft light filtering through her kitchen window. She decided to prepare a breakfast that her doctor had recommended: steel-cut oats with a sprinkle of chia seeds, topped with fresh berries and a drizzle of honey. The process was soothing, measuring the oats, stirring the pot, and inhaling the warm, comforting aroma. The oats cooked slowly, their nutty scent filling the room, while outside the world began to stir. As she sat down with her bowl, Chloe noticed how satisfying the meal felt. Unlike the hurried breakfasts she used to eat, this was a moment of mindfulness. Each bite was nourishing, filling her with energy and warmth. She remembered how the doctor had explained that steel-cut oats were rich in soluble fiber, which helped stabilize blood sugar and supported heart health. It was as if every mouthful was a small act of care for her body. Over the following weeks, Chloe experimented with different recipes that incorporated whole grains and fresh, natural ingredients. She found joy in cooking, mixing quinoa with roasted vegetables for lunch, simmering barley soup with garlic and herbs for dinner, and enjoying snacks of nuts and seeds between meals. Each dish was a celebration of flavor and health. Her family noticed the changes too. Meals became opportunities for connection, with her daughter joining in the kitchen to share recipes and stories. They laughed together over spilled flour and tasted new flavors, turning cooking into an act of love. Chloe's legs felt stronger, the numbness less frequent. She realized that these simple meals were not just fueling her body, but also healing it. The routine of preparing and eating wholesome food gave her a sense of control and purpose. Friends often asked Chloe how she managed to stay so positive and energetic. She smiled and shared her secret. It's the small things, the meals we choose, the time we spend caring for ourselves. Healing isn't always dramatic. Sometimes it's a quiet journey of simple steps. One evening, as Chloe prepared a quinoa salad with fresh tomatoes, cucumbers, and a lemon dressing, she reflected on how far she had come. Food had become a source of comfort and strength, a daily reminder that she was nurturing life within her. Through these meals, Chloe reclaimed a part of herself that had been lost in fear and pain. She embraced the rhythm of cooking and eating as a form of meditation, grounding herself in the present and celebrating her resilience. The healing power of food extended beyond the physical. It nourished her spirit, strengthened her resolve, and deepened her connection to those she loved. Chloe's journey showed her that sometimes the simplest acts, like making a healthy meal, could carry the greatest meaning. Chloe had been on her health journey for several months now, and though the changes were gradual, they were undeniable. Her legs felt lighter, her energy steadier, and her spirit brighter. Yet there was one unexpected discovery that brought a fresh burst of joy into her routine, a dish she never thought she would enjoy but now eagerly anticipated. It happened on a Saturday afternoon when Chloe's daughter invited her over for lunch. The table was set with a colorful spread of dishes, but one in particular caught Chloe's eye: a vibrant quinoa and roasted vegetable salad, garnished with fresh herbs and a tangy lemon dressing. The aroma was enticing, and Chloe felt a flutter of curiosity. With her first bite, she was pleasantly surprised. The textures, the balance of flavors, earthy quinoa, sweet roasted peppers, crisp cucumbers were delightful. It was light yet satisfying, refreshing yet nourishing. Chloe found herself savoring each mouthful, appreciating not just the taste but the thoughtfulness behind the meal. Her daughter explained how quinoa was a powerhouse grain, rich in protein and fiber, helping to keep blood sugar levels steady and promoting heart health. Chloe listened attentively, intrigued by how nature's simple gifts could play such a vital role in healing. This meal sparked a new enthusiasm in Chloe. She began experimenting with quinoa at home, combining it with a variety of vegetables, nuts, and seeds. She discovered that the grain was incredibly versatile, perfect for salads, soups, or even as a warm breakfast porridge. Cooking became an adventure, a chance to nourish both body and soul. Friends and neighbors soon caught wind of Chloe's culinary explorations. Some asked for recipes, others for advice on how to make their meals healthier. Chloe was happy to share, feeling a sense of community and purpose in helping others. This discovery also deepened Chloe's understanding of food as medicine. She realized that healing was not about deprivation or strict diets, but about embracing variety, balance, and joy. Each meal was an opportunity to celebrate life and nurture herself. Her doctor noticed the progress during follow-up visits. Chloe's circulation had improved, and her blood sugar levels were more stable. These tangible results encouraged her to continue on this path, knowing that each choice contributed to her well-being. Beyond the physical benefits, Chloe felt emotionally enriched. The act of preparing and sharing meals brought connection and happiness, countering the isolation that illness sometimes imposed. This new favorite dish became a symbol of transformation, a reminder that change was possible. Even unexpected pleasures could emerge from challenges. Chloe's journey taught her that sometimes healing comes wrapped in surprises, inviting us to remain open and curious. As she prepared another batch of quinoa salad one sunny morning, Chloe smiled to herself. Life had given her more than recovery. It had given her a renewed appreciation for the simple, beautiful moments that made each day worthwhile. As the season shifted from the chill of early spring into the gentle warmth of summer, Chloe began to notice changes that filled her with quiet joy. The heaviness that had once weighed down her legs, the numbing sensation that made every step uncertain, was lifting. It wasn't a sudden transformation, but rather a steady, reassuring easing that gave her hope for the days ahead. One morning, as she prepared for her daily walk along the familiar beach path, Chloe paused and marveled at how much lighter her legs felt. It was subtle, a freedom in movement she hadn't experienced for months. The slow, steady pain had softened, replaced by a gentle strength that urged her forward. With each step, she felt the earth beneath her feet, grounding her, connecting her to the present moment. The rhythmic sound of the waves mingled with the birdsong, creating a peaceful symphony that seemed to echo her newfound ease. Chloe's breathing deepened, and a smile spread across her face as she realized she was no longer held captive by discomfort. Her friends noticed the change too. During a weekend gathering in the garden, several remarked on her renewed energy and the way she moved with grace. Chloe felt a surge of gratitude for the progress she had made and the support that had carried her through. This relief was more than physical. It was emotional. The reduction in pain meant fewer worries, less fear of falling or losing independence. Chloe found herself more engaged in conversations, laughter more frequent, and moments of joy more abundant. She reflected on the journey that had brought her here, the doctor's advice, the dietary changes, the gentle walks, and the unwavering support of her family and community. Each choice had contributed to this lighter step, this brighter day. Chloe also recognized the importance of patience. Healing was not about quick fixes, but about consistent care and kindness to oneself. She had learned to listen to her body's signals, to rest when needed, and to celebrate every small victory. As she walked home that day, the sun casting a golden glow over the landscape, Chloe felt a deep sense of peace. Her legs carried her forward, not just physically, but symbolically, toward a life reclaimed and a future embraced. The experience taught her that even in the face of chronic challenges, relief and renewal were possible. It was a testament to resilience, to the power of mindful living, and to the simple yet profound act of caring for oneself. Chloe's story became one of hope, for herself and for others who might be walking similar paths. It was a reminder that healing is a journey, often slow but always worth taking. With lighter legs and a hopeful heart, Chloe stepped confidently into each new day, ready to embrace whatever came next. Chloe's journey toward better health had taught her many valuable lessons, not only about what to embrace, but also about what to avoid. As she learned more about managing her circulation and blood sugar, she discovered that certain foods, though once staples in her diet, could actually undermine her progress and threaten her hard-won gains. One afternoon, while browsing through a booklet provided by her doctor, Chloe came across a list of foods to be cautious about: processed sugars, refined grains, saturated fats, and salty snacks. She was surprised to see some of her favorite treats on the list. Suddenly, that occasional cookie or fried snack felt like a risk to her renewed vitality. This realization sparked a new wave of determination. Chloe understood that managing her condition meant not just adding healthy foods, but also being vigilant about what she removed from her diet. It was a delicate balance, knowing when to say no, even when cravings whispered otherwise. Her daughter noticed the change too. Together, they cleared the pantry of processed foods and replaced them with wholesome alternatives. Chloe learned to read labels carefully, identifying hidden sugars and unhealthy fats lurking in packaged items. It was a new skill, one that required mindfulness and discipline. Chloe's social life also shifted. Invitations to gatherings often involved rich, tempting foods, and she had to navigate these situations with care. Sometimes she declined treats, explaining her health goals. Other times she found ways to enjoy celebrations without compromising her progress. These moments were challenging, but empowering. The doctor's advice echoed in her mind. Avoiding harmful foods is as important as embracing healing ones. Chloe took this to heart, realizing that every choice mattered. She also found support in her community. Others shared tips for healthy substitutions, using natural sweeteners like honey or maple syrup in moderation, swapping white bread for whole grain, choosing baked or grilled options over fried. These shared experiences made the journey less lonely and more manageable. Chloe's body responded positively. As she cut back on processed foods, her energy stabilized, inflammation reduced, and her legs felt stronger. The discomfort and numbness grew less frequent, reinforcing her commitment. Emotionally, this discipline strengthened her resolve. It was a reminder that healing required care not just for the body, but also for the mind and spirit. Saying no to certain foods became an act of self-love, a boundary set to protect her well-being. Over time, Chloe learned to savor the flavors of fresh, natural foods, finding satisfaction in meals that nourished and delighted. Her cooking became creative, experimenting with herbs, spices, and textures to keep dishes interesting and enjoyable. She also became an advocate, gently encouraging friends and family to consider their own dietary habits. Through sharing her story, Chloe hoped to inspire others to take charge of their health, recognizing the power of food as both a healer and a potential harm. This part of her journey, though challenging, was vital. It taught Chloe that awareness and choice were at the heart of wellness. Avoiding foods that could damage her body was not a sacrifice, but a gift, a path to a fuller, healthier life. With each mindful decision, Chloe strengthened her connection to herself and her healing. Her story was no longer just about overcoming symptoms, but about embracing a lifestyle that honored her body's needs and her spirit's resilience. The subtle shifts in Chloe's health and spirit did not go unnoticed by those closest to her. Over the months, her family began to see a remarkable transformation, not only in her physical condition, but in her outlook on life and the way she carried herself. One afternoon, during a family gathering in her daughter's cozy living room, Chloe's sister remarked with a warm smile, "You look so much more vibrant these days, Chloe. There's a lightness about you that wasn't there before." The words touched Chloe deeply. She had worked quietly, persistently to reclaim her health, and hearing it acknowledged felt like a gentle reward. Her daughter chimed in, "Mom's been cooking the most amazing meals lately. We're all eating healthier because of her." Chloe laughed softly, grateful for the support and encouragement. The family had become an integral part of her journey, sharing meals, walks, and conversations that reinforced her commitment. At dinner, the conversation turned to Chloe's progress. She shared her experiences, how adopting whole grains, embracing gentle exercise, and avoiding certain foods had made a difference. She spoke openly about the challenges, the moments of doubt, and the small victories that fueled her resolve. Her grandchildren listened with curiosity, fascinated by the story of their grandmother's journey. Chloe realized that her experience was not only about healing, but about passing on lessons of resilience and self-care to the next generation. This acknowledgement from her family strengthened Chloe's sense of purpose. She felt seen, supported, and loved, emotions that bolstered her well-being as much as any meal or medicine. The bonds between them deepened, woven through shared understanding and mutual care. Chloe also noticed changes in her own confidence. Where once she had hesitated, unsure of her abilities, she now moved with assurance. Her legs carried her steadily, and her mind was clearer, less clouded by worry. The transformation was holistic, touching every aspect of her life. Encouraged by her family's support, Chloe began to participate in community activities more actively. She joined walking groups, volunteered at local events, and even started sharing her story at health workshops. Her experiences became a source of inspiration for others facing similar challenges. Through these interactions, Chloe discovered a profound joy in helping others. Her journey had come full circle, from patient to advocate, from struggling alone to leading with compassion and strength. Her family's recognition was not just about appearance or physical health, it was about the whole person Chloe was becoming. They celebrated her courage, her commitment, and the grace with which she faced adversity. This chapter in Chloe's life was a testament to the power of connection, how love, encouragement, and shared experiences could amplify healing and growth. It reminded her that no journey was solitary and that family could be a wellspring of strength. As the evening drew to a close, Chloe felt a deep sense of gratitude. She was surrounded by those who cared, united not just by blood, but by the shared journey of life and health. This support nourished her as much as the wholesome meals and gentle exercises. Chloe's story, once marked by fear and uncertainty, had blossomed into one of hope, resilience, and love, an enduring legacy for her family and community alike. Chloe's visits to her doctor had become moments of both reassurance and learning. Each appointment was a checkpoint, a chance to review her progress and receive guidance. But one particular visit stood out, a conversation that deepened Chloe's understanding of her journey and transformed her approach to healing. The doctor welcomed her warmly, his eyes bright with encouragement. "Chloe," he began, "you've made remarkable strides. Your blood sugar is more stable and your circulation is improving. But I want to share something important, something I call the medicine in your kitchen." Chloe leaned in, intrigued. The doctor explained that while medications and therapies were essential, the foundation of health was built on daily habits, especially what she ate. He described how certain foods contained natural compounds that could reduce inflammation, improve blood vessel function, and support nerve health. He mentioned foods rich in antioxidants, like berries and leafy greens, and emphasized the importance of whole grains like oats and barley. He spoke about the healing power of nuts and seeds packed with healthy fats and nutrients. Chloe listened, absorbing every word like a student eager to learn. The doctor also cautioned against processed foods high in sugars and unhealthy fats, reiterating what Chloe had come to know through experience. "Think of food not just as calories, but as medicine that can heal or harm," he said gently. This conversation ignited a new commitment in Chloe. She realized that her kitchen was her pharmacy, and each meal was a prescription she wrote for herself. This mindset shift gave her a sense of empowerment and control. At home, Chloe rearranged her pantry and fridge, stocking them with colorful fruits, fresh vegetables, whole grains, and natural oils. Cooking became a deliberate act of healing, a way to nurture her body and soul. She experimented with recipes inspired by the doctor's advice: spinach and berry smoothies, oatmeal with flax seeds, roasted vegetables drizzled with olive oil. Each dish was a celebration of flavor and function. Chloe also shared these insights with her support group, sparking discussions about the medicinal qualities of food. Together, they swapped recipes and tips, creating a vibrant community of healing through nourishment. The doctor's secret became a guiding principle for Chloe, blending medical science with the art of living well. It reminded her that healing was holistic, integrating body, mind, and spirit. This new understanding deepened Chloe's gratitude for the simple gifts of nature and the wisdom that had emerged from her challenges. It was a powerful reminder that sometimes the greatest remedies come from within our reach, waiting to be embraced. With this knowledge, Chloe stepped forward with renewed confidence, ready to continue her journey with food as her ally and medicine. Chloe's healing journey had taught her many lessons, but perhaps the most profound was the art of listening to her body, her emotions, and the subtle signals that guided her toward well-being. This deep listening was not always easy, especially in the early days when fear and uncertainty clouded her awareness. But over time, Chloe learned to attune herself to the whispers within, honoring her body's wisdom. One morning, after waking with a mild ache in her legs, Chloe chose to pause before rushing into her routine. She sat quietly by the window, breathing deeply, and asked herself what her body needed. Was it rest? Movement? Nourishment? This simple practice became a daily ritual, a moment of presence that grounded her. She discovered that some days, gentle stretching eased tension, while on others, rest was the best remedy. She learned to differentiate between discomfort that signaled a need for care and pain that required medical attention. This discernment empowered her to make informed choices, reducing anxiety and fostering trust in herself. Chloe's emotional landscape also became clearer through this practice. She noticed how stress and worry sometimes manifested as physical symptoms. When she felt overwhelmed, her legs tightened and fatigue deepened. Recognizing this connection, she incorporated relaxation techniques, meditation, soothing music, and mindful walks that nurtured both body and mind. Her family noticed this shift in Chloe's demeanor. She seemed calmer, more centered, and better able to navigate challenges. Conversations with her daughter often included reflections on how listening deeply had transformed her experience. At her doctor's appointments, Chloe shared her insights, and her doctor applauded her self-awareness. "Healing is as much about the mind as the body," he said. "Your ability to listen and respond is a powerful tool." This awareness extended to Chloe's social interactions as well. She became more attentive to how different environments and relationships affected her well-being, setting boundaries where needed to protect her health. Through deep listening, Chloe found a balance between action and rest, effort and ease. She cultivated compassion for herself, recognizing that healing was a journey with ebbs and flows, not a linear path. This mindful approach enriched her daily life, making each moment meaningful and intentional. It transformed challenges into opportunities for growth and connection. Chloe's story became a testament to the power of presence, how tuning in to the quiet signals within can guide us toward health, harmony, and hope. As she continued to listen and learn, Chloe embraced the fullness of her journey, knowing that true healing blossomed from the gentle art of paying attention. As Chloe progressed on her journey, she began to think deeply about what it truly meant to age healthily. Aging, she realized, was inevitable, but how she experienced it was within her hands. The lessons she had learned transformed her perspective, not as a decline, but as a new phase rich with potential for growth, joy, and fulfillment. One afternoon, sitting in her garden surrounded by blooming flowers, Chloe reflected on the changes she had made: her diet, exercise, mindset, and community connections. She felt a quiet pride in how far she had come. The heaviness in her legs was now a distant memory, replaced by strength and resilience. Her mind was clearer, her heart lighter. This motivation fueled her daily choices. She embraced routines that supported her body's vitality and nourished her spirit. Chloe understood that healthy aging was holistic, involving physical health, emotional well-being, social engagement, and purposeful living. She set new goals, not ambitious marathons, but simple, meaningful acts. Walking a little further each day, cooking nourishing meals, spending quality time with loved ones, and learning new skills. These goals gave her a sense of direction and accomplishment. Chloe also found inspiration in stories of others who aged with grace and vitality. She read about people who reinvented themselves in their 60s and 70s, pursuing passions and making contributions. These stories sparked hope and reinforced her belief that aging was not a limitation, but an invitation. Her family became part of this vision. They shared activities, planned outings, and celebrated milestones together. Chloe cherished these moments, knowing that connection was a cornerstone of healthy aging. The community she had joined also played a vital role. Participating in group walks, workshops, and social events kept her engaged and motivated. The support and camaraderie nurtured her well-being and provided a network of encouragement. Chloe's doctor applauded her progress, emphasizing that her commitment was a model for others. He reminded her that healthy aging was a lifelong journey, one that required kindness, patience, and adaptability. This realization brought peace. Chloe was no longer racing against time, but moving with it, embracing each day with gratitude and purpose. Her story became a beacon for those around her, showing that aging could be a vibrant, fulfilling chapter rather than a slow fade. Chloe's motivation was rooted in love for herself, her family, and life itself. It was a powerful force that propelled her forward, sustaining her through challenges and triumphs alike. As she tended her garden one sunny morning, Chloe smiled, knowing that she was living proof that healthy aging was possible, beautiful, and deeply rewarding. Chloe sat quietly in her favorite chair by the window, the late afternoon sun casting a warm glow across the room. Her journey had been long and winding, filled with moments of fear, struggle, and doubt, but also with courage, discovery, and hope. Now, as she reflected on all that she had experienced, a profound sense of peace settled over her. When she first felt the numbness in her legs and faced the sharp pain that disrupted her nights, Chloe had been overwhelmed by uncertainty. The diagnosis of poor circulation and diabetes felt like a heavy burden, a shadow looming over her future. But through patience, determination, and support, she had rewritten that story. Chloe thought about the many small steps she had taken, changing her diet, embracing whole grains and nourishing meals, incorporating gentle exercise, and learning to listen deeply to her body. Each step had been a building block, creating a foundation for healing and strength. She remembered the warmth of her family's encouragement, the power of community support, and the guidance of her caring doctor. These connections had been as vital as any medicine, reminding her that she was never alone in this journey. Chloe's transformation was more than physical. It was a shift in mindset and spirit. She had learned that diabetes was not a sentence, but a condition that could be managed with knowledge, love, and perseverance. Her story was a beacon of hope, not just for herself, but for countless others facing similar challenges. Chloe wanted others to know that healing was possible, that the road might be difficult, but that every step forward was worth the effort. She hoped that sharing her experience would inspire others to take charge of their health, to embrace changes with courage, and to find joy in the journey. Chloe knew that her legs, once weak and painful, were now symbols of resilience and renewal. They carried her forward, not just physically, but as a reminder of the strength that lay within. As the sun dipped lower, casting long shadows, Chloe felt grateful for the lessons learned, the love received, and the life renewed. She understood that while challenges would continue, she had the tools and the heart to face them. Her final reflection was one of hope, a hope rooted in the belief that with care, knowledge, and support, anyone living with diabetes could reclaim their health and live fully. Chloe's journey was a testament to the human spirit's capacity to heal, to adapt, and to thrive. It was a story she carried with pride and one she was eager to share, knowing that in doing so, she could light the way for others. As we've journeyed with Chloe, from the first unsettling numbness in her legs to the sharp pain that woke her at night, and through her gradual discovery of healing foods, gentle exercise, and the power of community, we witness a remarkable transformation. Chloe's story is not just about managing diabetes and circulation issues, but about embracing a new way of living with hope, resilience, and self-compassion. Each step she took was a victory, learning to nourish her body with whole grains and fresh meals, finding strength in connection and support, and most importantly, listening deeply to what her body needed. Chloe's growth reminds us that healing is not a race, but a journey filled with patience and small, meaningful changes. For everyone watching, especially those navigating the challenges of aging and chronic illness, Chloe's story is a beacon of hope. It shows that no matter your age or health condition, you have the power to reclaim your strength and vitality. So, take a moment today to listen to your body, nourish it kindly, move gently, and reach out for support. Your journey to better health starts with the first step, just like Chloe. Embrace that step with courage and remember, every small change counts toward a stronger, brighter tomorrow.